Everyone doing? Awesome. We just want to welcome you and thank you to our fourth session of movement of understanding what we are doing within our community. We want to thank you for coming out. We have a great day set before you with great understanding, dealing with a lot of understanding, financial, a lot of understanding of our position and where we are and what we're trying to do and moving forward in this movement. So thank you again for your participation. Thank you for your sacrifice in coming out, and thank you for being a part, because there's great things that is in store that we all are going to be a part of. We all going to be able to do. So again, give yourself a hand for coming out on this evening. So at this time, we're going to introduce Bishop, Reverend, Overseer, who's going to come potentate.
And not only that, finding a means by which you can get those resources. And I think that what we have to do, and Black Fathers Movement is not about a programmatic movement. It is about recognizing that there are various solutions within our community. And here's the problem. It doesn't sound like, it sounds like an oxymoron. Here's the problem with solutions facing our problems. The solutions are insets in a panoramic. There's a big picture of problems. So if there is, say for instance, what we have today, we have now the financial solutions. So the financial solution is just one part of that picture. Dealing with that does not solve the panoramic. There are other solutions out there, and each solution is an inset in the picture. If we don't get all the solutions to one table so that we can objectively move in the same direction, the same thing we were doing, and I say we because I was in the 60s, the same thing we were doing in the 60s, we're still doing today. Because there were these spot solutions that were doing things in different areas, but it was not impacting the whole picture for the long term. Until we get, and that's the purpose of Black Fathers Weekend, is to bring solutions to one table. Not taking over what they're doing, but finding out what they're, for instance, Fathers MIA, with Pastor Jackson and Hawkins, they have an excellent solutions ministry. They're part of Black Fathers Weekend. We don't control their organization. It's successful on its own, but they brought that success to the table, and we're going to actually work together to actually really feed their program, their solution, to actually enhance it, because the more those solutions grow, the more the picture comes into focus. And so we need every solution out there. We had a solution with the criminal justice reform already, and we have an educational solution that we're looking to find those that have positive movements in education. And all of those areas, in all areas where we are adversely affected, we need to actually come up with a collaboration of all of these solutions and their successful programs and say, hey, let us work together, because they'll pick us off one by one. But if we come to one table and we begin to say, okay, we are doing this, and when we look at each solution, we say so we don't want to bring people together to talk about the problem. We know what the problem is. We want to bring them together and say, here's the solution. right? We have a financial solution here today. And in the next one, we want to have a solution for everything that we're going through. Well, we about a year and a half in operation, so I'm a visionary, and most of these guys are visionaries, so we know how vision works. Vision don't work overnight. People have to catch on before they actually get on. And so the thing is that once we realize, and all you have to do is keep looking at this boy up there in Tallahassee and see what's happening. What's happening is that there is a movement to move us back, right? And we can sit down and watch it all we want. And I'll say this, in reality, those that either can't see or act like they can't see, I was reading in Esther, it'll be what Mordecai told Esther. When Esther was there and he said, go tell the king, in other words, go and meet the king and let him know our dilemma. She said, well, you can't go to the king unless he holds out the scepter because he can kill you, put to death. He says to her, he didn't give her a long explanation. He said, now don't you think when they start killing Jews, they ain't gonna kill you too. That changed her mind. She said, listen, y'all pray for me. And when y'all finish praying, if I perish, let me perish. I'm going to see the king. So that's what we have to understand. We are on a path of elimination in this country if we don't be the answer we're looking for, because the government ain't got it. Matter of fact, they're doing everything to counter the answer we're looking for. And if we don't actually come together, this system is going to be the burial ground of our heritage. Amen. This system, we are systemically being eliminated. Amen. By moving, and I'm closing. When the Jews, when the Egyptians wanted to get rid of the Hebrews, they told the women, the midwives, kill the boys. Let the women live. What they're doing in this country is killing our boys. And then we have come so blind to we're helping them by killing one another. Amen. So thank you for being here. And our next one, if you don't do it this time, everyone that we have, we want to double and double until we get to Dr. Evans in September. Dr. Tony Evans in September, we want to just make sure that we don't have to worry about packing it out in September, but we want to make sure that we then get the message out, not just in Broward County, but throughout this country. Throughout this country. I know that's big, but I serve a big God. God bless you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Jones. At this time, we are going to be led, directed, instructed by, and I'm saying this, one of the greatest moderators on this side of heaven. On this side of heaven. He's going to take us to the promised land. He's going to direct us. And so please follow the instructions. Please receive what is going to be done on today. Let's receive our own Dr. Anthony Sanders as he takes us on this. Oh, please. All right. Bless the Lord. Okay. Pastor Jackson, make sure to check. You can get it from my wife. I want to join Dr. Jones and just say thank you for each and every one of you coming out today. We are excited. We believe we have good information, and with information and revelation, we can get transformation. So with that, I just want you to find somebody next to you, maybe in front of you or behind you, just tell them, so glad you're here. Wouldn't be the same without you. All right, so glad you're here. All right. All right, that's my little icebreaker. All right, wouldn't be. So for today, we're going to change our format just a little bit. And instead of having our panel go first, we're going to start with our
distinguished financial expert, Dr. Joe Webb, and we're going to bring him forward, and he will lead us into this presentation, and then we'll bring our panelists on afterwards. Dr. Webb.
Thank you, Dr. Sanders. Good evening, everyone. I am excited to present for you this afternoon this is Black History Month, so I'm excited about what you're gonna see over the next, I've been told, 35 minutes. So I will definitely be moving expeditiously through this, but you will definitely get it. I did a workshop. This actually came from, I did a workshop probably before the pandemic, about 5 years ago. I was at a church and talked about our history, and asked I just asked some children, some youth that was sitting over in a certain section, asked if they knew what the Emancipation Proclamation was, and they said they did. So for me, that hurt my heart, because if we don't know where we come from, we don't know where we're going. Right? And I know that if they didn't know that, as I looked around the room, there were a mixture in the audience. Some of the parents didn't know either. I know it's a tough one, but it's true, right? So we need to know these things. So this whole thing came from that, from bondage to bondage. And I have the clicker so I can control this here. So as I walk into this, I just want to let you know, we've gone full circle, my brothers and sisters. We've gone full circle with bondage to bondage. We've gone from flat iron chains around our necks, ankles, and wrists to fat gold chains around our necks. We've gone from being forced to have these things around our necks to dying to have these things around our necks. My brothers and sisters, we are in bondage. And to look at that, as I said, if we don't know where we come from, we don't know where we're going. But you know what? There's different types of bondages. And for those who don't know, I'll walk through this. There's a powerful one we're dealing with today, and that is identity bondage. Identity bondage spawns from, again, not knowing where you come from and knowing where you're at. I mean, look at this. This actually came out during the pandemic. It's a football player standing on the sideline. I hope it wasn't one of y'all's relatives. I grabbed it and put it up there, right? I am chains, tattoos, dreads. That's who we are. No, that's not who we are. And that may be something that we do, but that's not who we are. That's not who we are identified by. So we've gone from that physical bondage to the bondage of the mindset. Again, as I walk through this, there'll be definitions for each. Here, so let's walk through this. What is bondage? State of being a slave, my brothers and sisters. Bondage is a physical being. I spoke on that. And there's also that mindset. That mindset is what has us where we are today, tacked on by systemic racism. Are y'all with me? Yeah. So mindset is what we're dealing with. Then there's the emotional bondage, the lack of love for oneself, versus the lack of love for our brothers and sisters. If you don't love yourself, how can you love your brothers and sisters? Well, guess what? That's been done systemically as well. But we have the power and choice, as I walk through this, to love one another. And as I look at each and one of you tonight, I love each and every one of you. And I know this is not Bible says, but I can't help myself. But I love you, and I can say that boldly and with confidence because he first loved me. So as we follow these principles and these things, whether you biblically, wherever you are in this process, there's principalities, if you would, that must be done in order for us to flow within a society and raise to the next level. I've spoken emotional, then there's the spiritual battle. Look, we're all walking spirits, my brothers and sisters. We battle with choices and decisions we make. So spiritually, whatever decisions you make, it's going to come out. There's an outcome. There's an outcome. You cannot, look, the system is designed by God. So we have men in place that are manipulating the system, but there's no way around this system. I want to say amen, but I know we're not in the place for that. I'm sorry. The one that we can relate to up here the most, as I spoke on the mindset, you may not realize that we're walking in this, but we deal with modern day adultery with material things. Modern day adultery with material things. Overspending, I'll expound on that a little bit as we go along the slides. But I got to share this with you. God does not mind you having these material things. No, he doesn't mind. We have nice things. We're to represent, but he does not want these material things to have you. Speak on that now. He doesn't want these things to have you. So that's our struggle. With the haves and the have. We can have all we want, as long as we know where it comes from, my brothers and sisters. So that identity crisis, we're dealing with that battle, and we're in the process, we're one-upping one another in the process. One-upping each other because of our identity. I realize we're all the king's kids. All right, let me go here. Listen, I'm not gonna, but I want to hit this because Pastor spoke on what happened. Bishop spoke on what happened the last 50 years. I'm here to tell you it's been going for thousands of years. Things we dealt with. And I'm just going to take a picture of the scripture. Take a picture, read the chapter of what they were doing, the Israelites were doing during this time. Everything we're doing today, they were doing during that time. And Jeremiah walked the streets and told them and warned them to change their ways. So, but in the process, as he warned them to change their ways, and they didn't change their ways, captivity took place. 70 years that the Babylonians come in and he captured them for 70 years. So we dealing with those same things today. The only difference is we walk on grace and mercy. It's the same thing. But I'm here to tell you as people, we're so powerful, we need to position ourselves. I'm challenging you to reach for a higher height to pass out grace and mercy to your brothers and sisters. We don't do enough of that. Pass it out to my brothers and sisters. Lift them up, my brothers and sisters. So my God wants more for you than you actually want for yourself. Follow that line. Wants more for you than you actually want for yourself. So again, freedom from bondage. Grace plus mercy minus power is bondage. It's begging. Instead of being positioned to help that person reach the next level. So freedom from bondage requires that kingdom mindset. As I walk through, I'm walking, I got to keep it going. I told I was only given 35 minutes. So I'm going to walk through this here, right? As I said, it didn't just start 50 years ago. This is our recent history. So as you go into, you all know about the first African slaves, Black History Month. Y'all know about that. The first one hit the United States in the 1500s. You may have known that. You may have known there were 400 years of slavery. We just hit that with 1619. We know that, right? But did you know that we were the first stock on the New York Stock Exchange? We were the first stock on the New York Stock Exchange in the 1700s. I'm going to read that real quick. Initially, the buying and selling of slaves was done privately. Then the New York Council declared that all Negro and Indian slaves that were let out would be hired on the market house at the Wall Street slip because of anxiety and fear from coming from the white middle class. We were sold right there at the port in New York. And then there was a transition. So we built this New York Stock Exchange. It was dismantled 50 years later. So as I walk through our history, so we fought. Everyone knows about the American Civil War, 1861 to 1865. President Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation. Now look at our history and the way it's skewed today. I'm going to go into some things. Who do we hear about the most as far as the presidency in our own American history? Who's the most popular president? Everybody's no, I mean history. Like, is it true? Actually, what we're taught in school is that George Washington was great. That's what we're taught in school, right? He was great. We're taught all about the American Revolutionary War. We're talking about the freedom. We're talking about the Boston Tea Party, right? That's what we're taught. We were taught all those things. It was mentioned in our history. Well, I'm going somewhere with that. So as we walk through these things, we know about the Emancipation Proclamation. I spoke on that January 1st, 1863. So every first of the year, we should recognize that. So it was his signing that had us here today. Now here's where I'm going with this. I went to a 4th of July event that was it was a white friend of mine. So the whole house, white friends, few of us, a few Hispanics were there. And I'm gonna tell you how they do. You know, we cue it up, right? We cue it up, fireworks, we do all that stuff, right? Well, they do a little bit different. At least the one I went to. I won't generalize it. I went in, they put on one of those flag hats on my head, gave me a flag, had flags all the way out in the yard coming in. It was the strangest thing, but did this. But here's something that hit all of us. So we did a questionnaire, trivia questions. And making a long story short, one of the questions alluded to the fact that we weren't free during that. Now, mind you, I served the military, retired from the military, fought for this country, and didn't think about it in that group. And no one else did either. So we were sitting in front of a bunch of white folks, Hispanics. The question was asked, and it came up 7/4, 1863, 1776. We were not free during that time. And it was a moment of silence, of course, but also a moment of prayer. So that was a beautiful thing. So, but it was just something that hit all of us, because I'm not used to celebrating with other than us. We were not free when this was declared. So here we are being taught these things in school. This is all we see across mainstream. We were not even free during the time. So the whole idea of Juneteenth is just the beginning. It's got to be the beginning. And I'm going somewhere with that too. So let me keep going. So now I'm going to hit these industrial revolutions that came in after the Emancipation Proclamation. So the Industrial Revolution came for two reasons. One, because we invented a lot of stuff and we were tired of working in fields. Y'all don't know that part. That's the part where that's how it started. That's the first part of the Industrial Revolution. We invented stuff because we were tired of working in the fields. But then the second part came after the Emancipation Proclamation. Look it up. That's the second part of the Industrial Revolution. So we did great things. So as it says there, we went from hand labor to machinery and all these things. But we invented a whole lot of stuff before that to make it easier for us out in the field. Well, let me hit a few things that you may not have known. There's a ton of things you looked at that we've done, but there's a few things here. It's not even enough to even, a month is a joke. And then the shortest month of the year makes it even more of an insult. I'm moving on. So as we look at these things, Granville Woods invented the third rail electrical switching system. Why is that important? Because the Vanderbilts owned the railroad system. We made it easier for them. So as you look at this thing, we walked through this thing, Lewis Latimer, Joseph Nichols, the electric lamp. Now I forgot Edison, Thomas Edison. We took his stuff to the next level. These are things that, again, we are a powerful, intelligent people. Right? So as we walked out, here's another, I'm just gonna hit a couple of significant ones. Dr. Daniel Williams, successful heart surgery in 1893. We did that. But here's one that you may not have known. Dr. Charles Drew developed a method for storing blood plasma. That's the Red Cross today. So of course everyone knows George Washington Carver. I don't need to say anything. He did a whole lot more than peanuts. So as we walk through these icebox, the refrigeration, Dr. George F. Grant in 1910 invented the golf tee, Tiger Woods, eat your heart out there, right? So we were involved in that process, but we tend to be on the wrong end of these processes. So it's time that we wake up and realize when we come together, we can do great things. Keep that in mind as I walk through this. Black Wall Street. Now you may not have known this, but there were actually 60 of them. There were 60 of them. If you get a chance, this is a very low circulated book. It's called The Black Towns. It talks about all 60 of them. We only know about Rosewood, and we know about a couple of course, Tulsa. That was the largest one, but there were 13 in Oklahoma. There were 13 Black Wall Streets in Oklahoma. Tulsa was the largest one. So this is a very, it's not circulated. If you want to get a brand new copy, it's like $200, but find a used copy. There are a couple of used copies out there. So here's what's powerful about, and here's what I really want you to get as far as what we can do when we come together. So Tulsa, Oklahoma existed from 1905 to 1920, and then 1921, and then it was destroyed, right? Over 600 businesses were erected during that time. In 16 years, over 600 businesses, only one of them was a bank. But in spite of that, the money circulated through the communities during that time for up to 13 months. 13 months. Now, let me put that in perspective. Today in the Asian community, the dollar circulates for 28 days, right? In the Jewish community, it's 19 days. Our white counterparts, 17 days. The Hispanic dollar circulates for it's either 7 or 8 days in this community. In our community, it's 6 hours. So we went from 13 months to 6 hours. Now, there's a lot of dynamics to that, but I'm gonna give you two that we just don't realize every day. One is we don't own the businesses in our communities. So when we shop in those stores, right, the dollar stays there. It never leaves the store, sometimes not even to paint the building. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Yeah. So we're feeding their families in their communities, and in some cases, other countries. So our dollar dies in their place and it leaves to feed other individuals. Top that out with the fact that we don't have the niceties in our communities, and we have to shop in other communities to get the niceties. We know those dollars will come back. Because what I just said, they go into the other communities to shop. Those dollars never make it back. So you look at those two dynamics, which is kind of how we're going to parlay into this when it comes to the finance topic or the big idea. It's business. We're going to talk about that. That's going to be the whole thing. Finance is such a broad way, but we thought business would be a good way to start this thing. So business is what we're going to talk about with the panel. So as you look at those things, that's this history and doing about. Again, I'm going to focus on the finance for the sake of time. This is just me. I actually went to something that some of y'all know now, what you didn't know before, was that I'm the former director for the Economic Development Council of Black Wall Street, USA. And they had their 100th year recognition of this destruction in Tulsa in 2021. So I was there, we went there, and one of the things that got me, now there were 600 businesses at one time, they covered 40 city blocks. Today, we own less than two city blocks. Matter of fact, there's less than 2 city blocks of businesses, and we don't own all the businesses anymore. That's how devastating that whole situation is going for us. But again, when we come together, we can do great things. So spoke on Black towns now. Now, the other thing too in this book, is the fact that we don't know a lot about our history. We don't have a lot of it documented. A lot of us, because of, the inability to read and write during that time made it tough. But of course, they didn't want us to have it. So what I want to show you is a quick clip on what critical race theory is doing to us, what it's done to us over the years because of one, I spoke on that simple George Washington versus Abraham Lincoln. But I want to show you what is happening today with critical race theory. Here's a quick video. Oh, we don't have sound. He's working. Okay, yeah, I think we got it. All right, it's coming. I found this, actually it was sent to me. I didn't find this one. It was sent to me, and when I listened to it and saw it, I thought it was so profound that I wanted to share it. It's just a couple of minutes, it's not long.
The Virginia Standards of Learning exam, so I recognize that's above your concern, your level of authority, but I didn't know who to raise my concern to, because usually I cook and my husband assists my children with their homework. But I was feeling a little under the weather, so we reversed roles last night. I was helping my daughter study last night for the Virginia Standards of Learning exam, so I recognize that's above your concern, your level of authority, but I didn't know who to raise my concern to, because usually I cook and my husband. I was helping my daughter study last night for the Virginia Standards of Learning exam, so I recognize that's above your concern, your level of authority, but I didn't know who to raise my concern to, because usually I cook and my husband assists my children with their homework, but I was feeling a little under the weather, so we reversed roles last night, and I saw that what they were teaching my child was that the status of early Africans was unknown, and that they were probably slaves or servants. As a HBCU graduate who knows better, although I lived in Prince William County, I attended Thomas Jefferson High School, so I was not a product of Prince William County schools, but It's one thing to say, we're not going to cover that. It's another thing to lie to my child and say that their history is unknown and that they were probably servants or slaves before they came to America. And I feel like part of this miseducation is the reason for our current country's climate. And the fact that if my child gives an answer other than what's on that paper, that she's considered wrong.
Wow.
So how do I educate my child and teach her that her history is powerful, that her history is amazing, and what her classmates are learning or what they carry with them when they become senior leaders, executives, and feel that it's beneath them to promote someone above them because their ancestors were just slaves or servants. Right now, I'm working in the CIA as the chief of a group within the Diversity and Inclusion Office, and I'm fighting these battles every day to change minds, to change hearts, to change unconscious bias, because they're not unconscious, they're taught at this age to our children and their classmates. And I don't know what can be done about that, but I figured I'd start with you all. Because I have 3 babies, 9, 10, and 11, in Prince William County schools who are being shaped for their future.
Brother, that's deep. Thank you.
When we come together, we can do great things. So the Civil Rights Act of 1964. So we can read that. We know that was about Lyndon Johnson signed it. I'm gonna tell you, these last 50 years that we talk about have been very critical to our lives, very critical to what we're dealing with. Here we are today fighting for our same civil rights. Same things today, right? Same things, these Jim Crow laws, all these same stuff. The Voting Rights Act, 1965, what has that done for us? We're still fighting today. We're being oppressed today in this same thing 50, 60 years later. So I'm gonna walk through this slide here real quick by telling you, well, I'm always asked, so what are you? Right, what are you? Who are you? So as we speak on our history, I'm gonna tell you that we were actually Republicans. Abraham Lincoln was a Republican. We'll walk on that. So today there's a reason why, for time's sake, I won't be able to get into that on how we made the switch. But I'm registered as a Democrat, but I have Republican tendencies. Because I want to be at the table. I don't want scraps from the table. I want to step up, not a handout. So again, changing our mindsets, because I'm here to tell you the best things in life are not free. Now, I can go spiritual with that. There's a cost paid there as well. But here's the big however. You have to be poor to get it. You got to place yourself in a set to get access, to get a free check, to get free cheese. Y'all know what I'm talking about. You got to downgrade yourself below something to get access. So there's always a cost to pay for whatever we do. So again, we were once Republicans, and that whole idea, the whole thing changed during Underground Railroad, and today's Republicans, as they're starting to fall off, if you would, those are the racists, but they're starting to fall off. And I'm not generalizing when I say that, because there's some good Republicans, right? But again, if I had more time for history, I would get more into it. Martin Luther King. So as I'm walking through history, right? Martin Luther King. I heard that. So Martin Luther King did the Kumbaya speech called "I Have a Dream." Now, I'm not mad at the speech because I love everybody, but I'm not anti anyone. I'm just pro-black on purpose. Amen. I had to let that one out. Amen. So I challenge you, because as he spoke on it was about corralling everyone together, but he had another speech. I've been to the mountaintop. That spoke on the economics. That spoke on wealth inequality. That spoke on doing things to put together the whole economic piece. That speech was done on April 3rd, 1968. He was assassinated the next day. So I challenge you again to take a look at that and take a look at his vision. This kind of speaks on an article he actually wrote when it came to how we spend our money. This was written back in 1965, and he talked about how we spend our money on automobiles, how we spend our money on houses. I'm just walking through because of time. And how we spent our money in the jewelry stores. $72 million back in 1965 was spent in jewelry stores. So this is not anything new, what we're doing. We're simply, our kids and kids watch what we do. So that whole trend continues to follow, right? So Martin Luther King didn't necessarily speak on integration as we thought he did. The whole idea was to have what they have, but not to move in with them.
Yeah.
Right? The whole idea with integration, we had integration without reciprocation. So we moved with them, but they didn't integrate with us. We went their way. So that caused issues. So as I walk through this thing, consumerism, integration caused consumerism. We start spending our money, trying to just get access, not realizing what that meant. And then from there, we dealing with equality. I'm gonna cross that one. That's a deep one there. I'm gonna save that until I get to the slide. And then there was gentrification. So we went from integration to gentrification. We went from wanting to go out of our community to other neighborhoods to them coming to our neighborhoods.
Right.
Talk to me
And
somebody.
taking over.
Right? So now let me walk through each one real quick. And again, read your Bible on this one. When it comes to our mindsets, do not conform to the patterns of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of our minds. We got to change our mindset. Change our mindset. Integration did not mean for us to go there and take all of our resources there,
Yeah.
right? It didn't mean that. It just meant, hey, come to one equal playing field. Integration, that's why I said no reciprocation. It's the intermixing of people or groups previously segregated. So we went their way, but they didn't come back our way, and here's the cost we're dealing with today. So as I move through this thing, all things work together. Just look them up. Equality. We have to work together and love one another. Work together for the greater and the good. Be about each other's business. Be our brother's keeper on purpose.
Yeah.
It ain't about I got to get mine, you get yours. No, we must get it together. We're seeing society today that our billionaires that are spread out. We still the N-word. I can't even say it anymore.
Yeah.
We still look at it as the N-word. So coming together, so equality, not just equality in our system, because watch this next slide. I want you to look at those definitions. If a time I'm gonna walk through them. So look at racism, look at systemic racism, and look at anti-Semitism. I'll just tell you, racism is a generalization of prejudice. Systemic racism is a general definition of how the system works, but it's not specified. But systemic is the hostility or prejudice against Jewish people. So even the system doesn't recognize us as a whole, because you know why? Because on our part, not coming together, no money. It's also economics in the process. Yeah, I'm going there too. Economics in the process. But they have their own word.
Oh, man. Wow. Wow.
Keep it moving, keep it
Look at
moving.
that.
So yeah, no differences. What are the differences? There aren't any differences.
Listen,
All right, so I'm moving. So equality is definition of equality is still being equal, especially in status, rights, opportunities. So in society, we know we're dealing with that every day. We just walk through that. But how about equality in our own communities? Let that sink in for a minute. Equality in our own communities is different, but not much different. It's not. We have drive-by shooting, bullying and hating on one another, destroying each other's things, not supporting one another.
Oh, man. Getting the points there.
All these things, along with systemic racism, simply compound the effect of what you're going to see, and that is wealth inequality. Watch this. This is only 2 minutes. Hopefully,
Hey there, Morgan. Well, Black spending power, it reached a record $1.6 trillion in 2021. The ability to buy, save, and invest more than doubling since 2000. That growth actually exceeded the full U.S. economy, but lagged other ethnic groups. Latinos with a 288% increase, Asians with a more than 380% rise in their spending power. However, other groups have also seen an increase in their net worth. Black Americans instead have seen their wealth actually fall by 14%, with the S&P rising more than 25% last year and college grads earning about 60% more than non-grads typically. Many Black business leaders say the community really needs to rethink how it spends.
We've got to massively over-index.
You know, for the sake of time, because it is talking about, but you got it, right? We did it again. We were number one consumer. We did it again. So we spend our money, we make everybody else rich. Everybody.
Wow.
Everybody. Everybody else is getting rich off our spending dollars. And this, again, I'm gonna go past the last 50 years of this this goes from 1968 to 2016. And I can give you the numbers for 2021. I haven't seen it for 2022 yet. But the significance of this is 1968 was the year that the Fair Housing Act came out. So we're dealing with that today. Also, the year that Martin Luther King was assassinated. 3 years prior to that, Voting Rights Act I spoke on. 4 years prior to that, Civil Rights Act. Fast forward, well, let me start there. The average net worth of whites back then was just under 71,000. We're at 70,000. Fast forward to 2016, they're under 150,000. We're at 13,000. But you notice two things? There's two things about that slide. One is the line stayed horizontal. Two is we're still under the poverty line. So all these different plans were put in place to enable us. That's why I said Republican tendencies. Programs, things in place to enable us to fall into has done nothing for us. But when we come together, we can do great things. All right, almost done here. So as I walk through this, Deuteronomy, so this goes back thousands of years when it comes to principles. And the idea of being a lender, not the borrower, the head and not the tail, above, not beneath. Those are principles based on God's statutes and following those things. And today with grace and mercy, we fall into, because there was punishment for not following these things, but today we have grace and mercy, and now we're dealing with consumerism. As I said, we are the number one consumer. And then with no vision. Without the vision, people perish. Today, what we see, y'all see, y'all know what we're dealing with today. But we didn't see, everybody else already saw. We didn't see that we were in a proactive position to be in. Now we're being reactive and coming together. But it's not over until it's over. So gentrification is what this deals with, and just the whole process. All I'm gonna say to you about gentrification is that gentrification is a business. It is a business. Yes, we're being uprooted. Yes, we're being moved. Yes, that's emotional. But we got to look at it from our business lens and understand, what are they doing? How are they doing this? Well, we have actually figured that out. Now, between the lack of funds, but again, when we come together, we can do great things. That's one of the challenges. But we got to come together and make our dollar powerful amongst us on purpose. On purpose. That means the purpose has got to be bigger than you. It's what we're trying to do in a movement. And we're doing it. And so, again, time's sake, but we're doing that. So it's just a matter of just joining the team and coming along with this crusade for greatness. So this is just something that I found on the internet a few years ago, as I talk about the mindset and how they still think we're slaves. They still look at us the same way. But a lot of us looked at because of our behavior. The behavior, the idea of the joke is, I don't think it's funny when I have some Black people put in the book. It's not funny. It's not funny. But education and the internet and the system we have today, we can grab information, right? Greed is another weapon to contain our spending. We got to stop one-upping each other, making everybody else rich. Right? So the whole idea of coming together for the purpose I mentioned versus those Jordans versus those, that's a whole other topic when you look at some of the billionaires and how they've been captured in the system. That's another topic. But the idea of coming together and not being just about oneself is what I'm talking about. You can still have yours, but we can have ours. That's the bigger picture, having ours and getting out of the red and into our Black and being about that is what this is all about. I'm almost done. So the answer is forgetting about the past and pressing on. All those things happen, all the woe is me, it happened. So, but we can press on because there's a prize if we press on and come together. So harping on what was there, no, we got to take what we want. Really, and that doesn't mean go out and that's not a war. But we gotta take it. We gotta come together on purpose and get what we want. Everyone else is doing it.
That's right.
Even the LGBTQ, and I sound like I got all the alphabets. All right, I'm going. I'm almost done. Reach out. The future's now. Changing our bondage, going from physical and being about the community. We must watch what we look at. Listen, there's a whole dynamic when it comes to, and I'm not an anti-rap guy when I say this, but all that whole thing that happened over the last 30 years, there's a documentary on it that's not even shown when they talked about what was put in the rap and in the songs and all those things and how that actually affected us. And some of the unfortunately names sold us out and going for that money, right? So I won't name names, but that's a true truth. So watching what we're listening to and what we're watching and loving ourselves and loving our neighbor on purpose. It all starts with love because God is what? He's love. So it starts there, right? So our daily walk and meditation, what are we thinking about? Matter of fact, I skipped something that was very powerful. I love this. I am a student of, and I can't think of the man's name. Our leadership. I read his book, specializes on leadership. Maxwell. John Maxwell, so definitely a scholar of him. Now, he actually says something I think is very profound. He says, you are not what you think you are, but what you think you are. Might catch that?
Yeah.
You are not what you think you are, but what you think you are. So we must change that mindset in our daily walk. And of course, material things perish, values and principles are eternal. All right. Yes. So I think I got one more short video, but I'm gonna close it with this. I want you all to repeat after me. I'm just gonna put them up there. You gotta speak positivity into your spirit, right? In order to make change, you gotta definitely know that who you are so you can pour into somebody else. But know who you are first, right? So we all are. So say, I am whole, perfect, strong, powerful, loving, harmonious, and happy. Give yourselves a hand. Okay, I'm going to walk through this. We did form an organization called Black Wealth Consortium that has this as a focus. And you come to the table, I tell you more about that. We cover all the asset classes, and today is business. So today the focus is business, right? So learn all the asset classes and being a part in that space is how we all come together and do great things. Getting your starter kit in place and getting yourself together is how we all come together and do great things. So that's what we're all about, pouring into each and every one of you. And today's focus is business. So I'm going to pull that, and then this last one, I think this is a powerful one because I see the mixture of age groups in here. Listen to this. This is a short one.
Everyone does not include us in their party. Everyone does not include us in everything that they do. There has to be a point of division in order for us to separate and then unite among the like-minded of our people. So let's make this very clear. When we say we want to call people out, let's make this all the way clear. Everyone knows who is real and who is not, because there are some of us who are banned from every damn way because of how absolutely legitimate we are. So when you want to call people out, first they must be pointed out. We cannot unite with slave makers, slave owners, traitors, turncoats, nor collaborators. It ain't gonna happen like that. Too many of us are black people with white minds. And so when you put people in front who say they speak for us, but at this point it is 2022 going into 2023, and we are still in the same position, if not a little backward from where we were when it comes to our overall progress, I call conspiracy. Now, before anyone says conspiracy theory, conspiracy means when two or more groups, organizations, or individuals come together to do something that is evil and or wicked. It is an absolute conspiracy. You have too many black billionaires and millionaires who do not fund projects for black grassroots organizations to come up out of the condition that we are in. Too many people chasing the bag, but you don't get no damn respect because you sacrifice your people to be included in somebody else's group. So let's stop the nonsense. Cut the cap. In the game. This generation ain't playing with this no more. I want us all to understand this. There is a separation here. The commercialized talking, everyone wants to be soft and talk soft. The enemy doesn't give a damn about nothing you call yourself. You can call yourself a Moor, Hebrew Israelite, let's say black, let's say FBA, all that. We are considered to them.
That's right.
That is a very plain, simple reality. If you are a black millionaire, but you can't speak the truth, you are nothing but a rich slave.
Right.
And I will never trade my place with someone who has a lot of money, but no respect for my own people.
That's
Too
right.
many of us get comfortable once we get a check and we forget where we came from.
Right.
And you don't want to even go back around your people because you feel like we're not even worth being around.
That's
So at this point, again, this is a nice stage, a wonderful event, but knock it off. Those who are really about this, be about it, so that the enemy can say, you know what, we need to stop playing with these people and give them their real respect.
Every time I see it, it pumps me up. All right, so this is what this is all about. It's all about coming together, because I said when we come together, we do great things. So I don't know the direction. I'll let the moderator take us here, but I do want to introduce, we do have a couple of speakers on the next part here. We have Gene Petrus from the Accredited Group. Gene, what about Gene? Yeah, he's here. So he provides finance. He provides finance when it comes to what you're looking to do in business or what you're looking to do as a whole. He actually has access to finance. And then we have Dr. Francine Hash, Biz Development and Consultants Group, LLC. And she pretty much has everything from biz in a box. I know that sounds simple. She actually has that, taking your idea from an idea to a business and how to get yourself properly structured. And, I guess go from, and I say this jokingly, from bootleg to legit. Y'all know what I'm talking about. And then I'm going to speak on, my brother, Andre Campbell, could not be here. His son is in a soccer tournament. So he couldn't be here. But franchises. So, and not just a franchise, because I know some of you are like me, some of y'all might have thought it through more so. But when you think of franchise, I mean, it's restaurants, right? But there's like thousands of franchises, everything from a home-based franchise to those restaurants and to other things. So I have literature out on the table that speaks on that. And I can answer a few questions when it comes to doing that. I've done a few things with Kim. And then another space that's actually taken off and is actually going to be very fruitful. And God has given me this opportunity to launch it. And that is solar panels. Yes. There's a lot of opportunity in that space when it comes to being able to today receiving solar panels on your home, no cost out of pocket, while saving you 30 to 50%. And I ain't mad. I worked at FPNL, but they don't want y'all to know about that. I just said it. Solar panels on your house, no out of pocket costs, while saving you 30 to 50% of your current bill is what we're talking about here. So, and also the opportunity for those who may want to go in this space as a business. This company's coming this way, and I've actually I'm building a team here. Got some roofers, you know what they look like. Amen. And electricians, so I'm going to build it that way on purpose. So that's what we have, and I don't know, moderator, if you want what's next. I'm not sure. Okay. Let's give Dr. Webb a hand. I should have said Minister Webb, Preacher Webb. All right, let's give him a hand. And I think, Dr. Webb, what we'll do, don't try to leap up there. I think what we'll do is, it should be microphones in the chairs. Okay. And since this is your lane, what we'll do is allow you we'll start, you can do self-introductions and then tell, Pastor Jones said earlier, we're bringing solutions. So this is part of our solutions. And what we'll do is let you talk about what you do and how you can assist and help. And then afterwards, if there's any questions or anything, then they can bring the questions to me, or you can just come to the mic and ask them. But I think it'd probably be better y'all give them to me, and then we can ask questions. Okay, that's good. I think we'll do it that way. So it's back on you, Dr. Webb.
Okay, so definitely a pleasure to be here. I hope that I was able to pour into you this afternoon and give you some things to think about when it comes to our economy. I am a wealth manager. I've been in this space for 20 years now, 20 plus years. I have a focus on individual planning, starter kits, I mentioned that, putting things together, getting you out of debt, there's a team around me that does all those things and just takes you all the way into, if it's a business continuation, being that that's the topic is what I do with that. How do you pass your business on to the next generation? How do you build wealth in doing those things are the things that I specialize in. I have a nonprofit that teaches financial empowerment. So I teach these things as well. So teach you how to do it as well as getting it done is what I do. And, just loving it and happy to be here. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Hello. My name is Dr. Francine Hatch. Am I on? I don't think so. I'm gonna need to do. It was red. Do like they do. Can you hear me? All right, I got a big mouth, and I'm gonna tell you this. My nickname is Polly. I haven't always been Dr. Francine Hatch, but my family called me Polly because I got a big mouth and I like to talk all the time. And I used to be ashamed of that when I was growing up. But one day I became very proud to be called Polly because I've been anointed in the gospel to preach. So God gave me a big mouth for a purpose. But yes, my name is Dr. Francine Hatch, and my background is I'm a former educator in the school system in North Carolina, Winston-Salem, North Carolina. But more so, for 27 years, I was chief administrator, executive pastor of St. Peter's World Outreach Center in Winston-Salem. I come from 4 generations of pastors. My uncles, my brothers, it's 12 of us in our family, 4 girls and 8 boys. So 6 of the boys are pastors and my uncles were pastors. So I've been around pastors practically all my life. And then working as the chief administrator, I was executive pastor for one of the largest churches in Winston-Salem called St. Peter's World Outreach Center. All you young people that have your phones in your hands, spwoc.com. It's on an 85-acre campus, totally debt-free. We have taught our people that sit in the pews how to be totally debt-free. I used to think that, oh my gosh, why can't I preach like my daddy and like my brothers and have everybody jumping and sweating and running around the church? That wasn't what God had me to do. He had me to be an author. I've been writing practically all my life, and I've written over 40 books. I've helped write over 100 books. So the books that you see out there on the table, on my table, were written while I was with you all in mind. I love being a Christian. I love church. I love music. But it's not enough if we're just going to keep being poor all our lives. So God gave me the gift. I couldn't preach like my brothers, but he gave me the gift of writing. And so I knew we needed some more classes setting up in our church to teach people how to take the gifts that God put on the inside of them. All gifts were placed in the church by the same Lord and the same Spirit. And look at this one. And upon those gifts that are seemingly less honorable, it is upon those gifts we should bestow more honor. So the gift of cooking, the gift of sewing, the gift of cutting grass, all of those are gifts. So when people come through your door and say, I want to belong to your church, God has added to the church daily. He sent those people to your church because they have gifts on the inside of them. And we need some classes to teach them how to turn those ideas, how to turn those gifts of cooking, babysitting, cutting grass, whatever it is, into a business so that they can take care of their families. I am tired of being poor, seeing poor people in the church. Yeah, so that's how we were able to take care of every individual person sitting out there in those pews, 4,000 members of that church. It didn't start out that way. You can read about that in one of my books out there. I know I'm getting a little long-winded, just like my parents, just like a preacher. But this is my pulpit. This is what I do. I show people how to take their ideas, turn them into a business to take care of their family. I teach them also credit repair. Hey, it's just what it is. We live in this world, you gotta have some good credit. So you can do it yourself, but I teach those classes. And then I also teach a class on how to write grants. I can come and do it for you. I can write for you, but it's better. I use that proverb, I can teach you how to fish, instead of giving you a fish. So I like to teach a team of people in every nonprofit organization how to write grants, because there's plenty of money out there, but you gotta know how to go get it. So this is what I do. Thank you all so much for inviting me to come here. I didn't know I was gonna be up here on this stage, but thank you. Ditto, ditto, ditto to everything you said.
Y'all really got me following after Dr. Hash. Come on, really, Joe? Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for having me today. Dr. Webb, thank you so much for inviting me. I really appreciate this. My name is Gene Petrus. I'm the owner of a company called Community Capital Funding Group, LLC. We're basically a financial firm that provides capital for businesses. I've been in this space for about 20 plus years. One of the gratifying things about being in this space is being able to really help my folks, because what we've been faced with for so many years, and we've talked about the bondage. I deal with financial bondage, our people's financial bondage. So I've been able over the last few years to really work with business owners and create opportunities for them to access capital, such as business lines of credit, performance loans, real estate financing, business credit building, equipment financing. Because quite frankly, we all know the truth. We can all have great ideas about businesses and great dreams about building our businesses, taking on our parents' businesses. But if we don't have access to capital, that dream dies on the vine, right? We all agree with that. And so what are the two barriers of entry that prevents us from getting financial capital, right? It's usually credit scores. You don't have enough credit. You're not 650 or 700, or you haven't been in business long enough. Well, our programs are tailored programs that actually deals with your business. And we don't need you to have 700 credit scores. We have programs that low as 550 credit scores will get you in the door. We don't need you to be in business for 2 years. Our businesses, a month, 2, 3 months. We just funded a business that's been in business for 3 months. We help them get the funding that they need. There are a plethora of programs that's within our toolbox that can definitely assist business owners to get to that next level. I'm not going to be long-winded. I think you guys know where I'm getting at. The fact of the matter is that our company has been able to amass over 100 lenders that are dying to come to us, our company, to fund these transactions. So I really encourage you to, I'll be outside, encourage you to come and speak to us about the ways we can help you get into business. There's another part of our business as well, which is an affiliate program, which essentially provides compensation for leads that you generate through us. As much as 30% leads on the commission that's earned on every deal. So there's folks in here that want to get into the space, want to get into the financial space. Come talk to me. Let's talk about if you have a son, if you have a daughter, if they kind of like that, being in that space, we'd love to be able to talk to them. Thank you.
Can you hear me? Okay, so the other, Andre Campbell's not here, but the other business that to talk about is called the Franchise Executive. And Andre, I've known him for about 15, 20 years now. He was in the financial advising space along with me, but he ventured off and actually owned a couple of businesses himself and learned, went through some school of hard knocks, but was able to sell those businesses and also to realize that more information going into a business and understanding whether it's even the right fit for you, it's a lot more to it than saying, I just want to own a business, right? So he is, he's licensed here in Florida as a franchise broker. And as far as I know today, he's the only Black in this space. Didn't even know that space existed when it came to franchise brokers, but that tended to be another hidden gem when it comes to an opportunity to share. Because as I said before, there are thousands of franchises. Whether you want to be passive, with passive simply means you set it up and you just collect your check, or whether you want to be active in that space. And I can even give you a little bit of, even myself, me and my wife own we own a franchise. We had two stores. Anybody heard of Tropical Smoothie? There's some around here. Yes. So we owned a couple of those. And actually, when I met my wife, she was in one of them, in one, right? And learned that the hard way. We were able to sell them off, thank God. But what she learned, she's an attorney. And the whole idea was to get this thing, to eventually get her out of her job, but she wanted to be passive, but that's an active owner. So that's an example. If you buy one of those, I can give you that from my own experience. You must be an active owner, meaning you're an employee at the business. You can't have that set up as passive. Now, she's an attorney, of course, she wanted it to be that, but it was a 7-day-a-week deal because of that. And I learned that the hard way. So franchising definitely is a lot more to it than simply I want to go into a business, something that you may like. And that's where this consulting comes in for that space. So you get full consulting and financing, all types of financing can be done with that. If you have a 401k, there's some leveraging that can be done with your 401k. If you have one, to actually get financing in the space as well. So that is in that space when it comes to a vision of Black wealth is, remember I said we don't own the businesses in our communities. So right now there's dire needs for businesses in all our communities, and that's the kind of consulting you'll get. So what's available, and then of course the consulting, and then you determine that. Not I want a restaurant, right? That's usually how we go about it, and we just place it and kind of hope that they'll show up. Well, you get all the stats, all the research that's done for what's needed direly in that community that'll definitely increase your chances to succeed. So that's the depth of when it comes to having just getting to that franchise space.
All right. Yes, let's give it a hand. Okay, I'm on? All right, good. So what we're gonna do, they have tables, you have a table also set up outside, and they're gonna be at their tables. You will have an opportunity to go to their table and speak to them, maybe get a card. Now, I want to know before you go out, you said North Carolina, but are you local here?
Yes, I have a Florida driver's license. I have a Florida voter registration card. I am a true Floridian.
Oh, okay, all right. I mean, you were pumping up North Carolina, so, I just want to make sure.
Yeah, that is where I lived for most of my life. And COVID shut everything down. My mother passed. I didn't really have a reason to stay there anymore. So my children have been here for 20 years. So they convinced me to come and live in Florida. So that's why I'm here.
All right, well, we're glad to have you from North Carolina to come to Florida.
Yeah, I'm a
now,
true Floridian now.
Because we have mindset, skill set, now tool set. So I want to make sure everybody understands. So you can help people with business plan.
Mm-hmm.
You can help them if they want to start a business, you could, or if it's nonprofit and you want to do something in grant writing, you can do that. You and your company and you're local, and you'll be willing to assist them do it, or you'll do it for them.
Yes, either way. I have.
Did I put it simple enough?
Yes, you did.
All right, y'all understand where she is and what she can provide. Okay, and what's the name of the business so when they go out to your table?
Right through the door, Business Development and Consultants Group. Right.
Business Development and Consultants Group. Okay.
BDCGsolutions.com.
All right. All right.
305-96.
Okay, great. Now, let's, on the part when it comes to the money, okay? Because we can have a skill set, but we may not have the resources or the tools. So it cannot be a startup. That's the first thing, right? It needs to be at least, you said, it doesn't have to be 2 or 3 years, but it could be at least 3 months, 6 months.
Yeah, we funded as 3 months, 6 months. We funded those type of deals, yeah. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you can help with expansion, you can help,
absolutely.
okay,
Absolutely. So everything is based on your business performance,
okay.
and that's how we look at it. And so we lend based on your business performance, really, and your receivables. So there's a lot of businesses that may be doing $40,000, $50,000 in gross revenue a month, but because their credit score is not there, because they haven't filed 2 years of tax returns,
Right.
it's full stop. The banks don't want to talk to you. There's no way to go. So you tend to use your own personal credit card. You tend to borrow from family, friends. You turn to get in debt that you should never even touch. You shouldn't ever even, I mean, there's the left pocket, the right pocket, right? There's a personal and the business. We don't commingle the two. That's why you have an EIN number and a social security number. You leverage your EIN. We show you how to leverage that EIN number, which is key and very important to building wealth.
Okay, so when you're talking about the score, is that your business credit score or is that their personal credit score?
Right, so most people do not have DUNS. They don't have any sort of business credit. So you're gonna fall back to your personal credit, right?
Okay,
So Dr. Hash helps build business credit.
Right.
So we can start with her.
okay,
We analyze the client, they come in, hey, we need to really build your business credit. That'll get you there. Might take 2, 3 months, 6 months.
Right,
Right,
and
we
even
work
with the
together.
grant writing, I help you get yourself positioned
That's
to
correct.
get grants.
Right.
They don't just give you some money. You gotta make sure that you have the right financial status, legal status, and several other things that I have to get in place for you so that you can qualify for the funding.
So with a traditional banks want you to be buttoned up, right? What do we call button up in our industry is tax returns, personal bank accounts, 12 months going back. They don't want any hiccup. We look at it totally different. We look at it, the business performance. Is this a good business model? Is this a good business plan? Who are the owners? And we bet on the owners in the business. That'll help you build your personal credit. Because once your business is straight, your personal straight. Now, if I see someone that has a messed up personal and a messed up business, that's a little tough to deal with. So we build them up, we build their business credit. Takes maybe a few months to do that, and then they're fundable, but we call bankable at that point.
okay. Give us the name of the business and are you local?
I am local, that's
Okay.
correct, yeah.
Go-
I'm in
go.
New York and Florida.
Say New York?
New York and Florida, yeah, don't hold that against me, please.
No, I ain't say nothing. Go ahead, give us the Florida part.
So it's Community Capital Funding Group. And also we run a group called the Accredited Group. And so I'll be outside, we can get some flyers for you guys with my contact information on there. We can talk about some business today.
Okay, all right, so they'll be able to find you, you have a table also.
I do. I'm actually, teamed up with Joe.
Oh, you're teamed up with you.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about the because when we hear franchises, a lot of people think restaurant, a lot of people think, McDonald's or whatever. Can you give us maybe an A to Z in terms of the extreme end to franchises, maybe cleaning buildings or something like that? So they'll understand if they want information on franchises, the variety of franchises that are available.
Yes, that actually is one. A cleaning service could be a franchise. There's a lawn service that actually could be set up as franchises, and there's one of the most common ones that you may not pay attention to where research is done is candy bar machines, the snack machines. That's also a franchise. The health machines you see, and the key to that is that the research is done for placement, so to get involved in that. And there's another one that's pretty passive, and it's you ever see the water machines in the supermarkets? That's a franchise. So actually, people are filling up their containers, and that's very passive. You're just collecting the money as they're filling up the containers and put that 75 cents in there. So those are the going from one to the other. And of course, there's the restaurants that we know about, franchising. But no, there's so many different types when it comes to to this space, and some of them maybe a couple of thousand. Of course, some of them could be more, 50, 60,000, hundreds of thousands. But you can get into franchises for as little as less than $10,000 and create some passive income for yourself.
Okay. You have a range. What's the lowest in terms of startup money, startup capital that you would need on a franchise? I know McDonald's can be $500,000 or whatever, but what are some that would be in the lower range?
Less than 10,000 is one.
Less than 10,000.
Yeah.
Okay.
Less than 10,000.
All right. Great. Okay, so they're gonna go out, but I'm hearing we have a raffle. Okay. Got a question? Okay, go ahead.
My question is,
You're gonna have to, cause we live, so either you're gonna have to Okay, we got a mic coming to you. Is it on? You can just take my mic, man.
My question is, if the bank wants you to do a letter of credit, is that a good thing for a business?
It can be, because that's basically the bank is back in the transaction. So we do get a request for that, and we do provide that as well.
All right, yeah, you gonna come up and do the raffle? I mean, you all the way up there, might as well hit it. What you need me to do now?
So, thank you all again for filling out the report cards and value teachers. We're gonna have Dr. Anthony Sanders to pull that report card, and that person will end up winning. Nice raffle here. And then we'll do it again towards the end of the day, okay?
All right. Okay, report card. Hey, that's got my name on it. Mr. Coleman. Leroy Coleman. All right. Well, why y'all put my name on it? All right. Okay, my brother. We got a raffle. Oh, we got another one? Oh, we'll do it at the end. Okay. So we're gonna let our panelists, oh, you have a question? Okay.
I have a question. I'm not sure if it's on or not, but that's okay. I have a question in reference to taking a thought, an idea, my side hustle. If I'm selling barbecue every Saturday, Friday night, Saturday, maybe Thursday, but I have a line, but I'm not an official business owner, legit, as we would say. How can I make that side hustle a legit business? Would you be able to help do that?
Absolutely.
Could you
You're
walk
the kind
us
of people
through
I'm
that
looking
process?
for. All gifts were placed in the church. Everybody in here has a dominant gift that God put on the. See, I can say that because I see all these facets of you, so I can talk that talk. But you have that gift, so let's do something with it. It's not enough to just come to church every Sunday and get dressed up with our pretty hats and shoes on and have a good time. Believe me, I'm a preacher kid. I love good music and good preaching, but that's not enough. God intended for us to have a wealth of land. So I will show you, this book will show you step by step how to get your tax ID number. It's going to help you find your niche, and you already have told me what your niche is, because a lot of people don't know what their niche really is. And so I will help you find that niche, because we all have one. And so then I will show you how to get your tax ID number. I can do it for you, but you know what my principle is? I'd rather teach you how to do it. To get your EIN number, I can teach you how to get a 501c3. I can do it for you now. I do still have a team in North Carolina. But on the other hand, my goal is to empower people to be able to take hold of what you have and run it like a well-oiled machine, because you can. The little lady that cleans silverware, the little guy that comes over to the church and clean all the water fountains, guess what he does? We helped him start a business cleaning water fountains, going all over the city. That's what I'm talking about. Remember 1 Corinthians 12:22? Upon those gifts that are seemingly less honorable, it is upon those gifts we should bestow more honor. Let everybody feel good about what their niche is, what they do, what they have to contribute, because we all have something to contribute. And that's what I love to do, is teach people how to find that niche and turn that thing into a business. That's what I do.
All right. Let's give our panel a hand, and we're gonna let them segue now out to their tables. I think that's the directive I'm given. And I know while they're doing that, we do have some younger, some millennials and some others that are doing their own business, and we want to highlight them. So we're going to ask them to make that transition up to the stage for those who know who they are. The millennials and what's the generation? Gen X. Help me, Jones. Gen X and what? Baby boomers, millennials, centennials, and who else? All right. Are the mics? Y'all check those mics. Make sure they're working. All right. Now I know we have more in this. What they Okay, are they in the audience now? Okay, Derek, that's, okay, come on, Derek.
No text found at that location.
Volume on this mic tonight.
Okay, so this is our last segment, and I'm glad to see some of the brothers got up to go to the table. We're gonna get those businesses started. And part of what we want to do now is just highlight really you guys, what you're doing, and be able to talk a little bit in terms of, from your perspective, how you see business and how you do it in some cases. So I'm gonna start to my extreme left on my side, and you can tell us who you are, what you're doing, and then we'll come back around.
Good evening. Yes, my name is Arthur Forrest. I'm the owner of Faith Construction Corporation, which is a building firm, and also I own a mortgage company, which is Faith Mortgage Corporation. And we're located in Pompano Beach, Florida. I've been building for like over 25 years. And we did a lot of projects all around Brown County for with the housing and that kind of stuff. But I do a lot of stuff. I do a lot of stuff on my own. I purchase land and develop my own properties. We're doing some building up in Port St. Lucie now. So it's been a journey for us as African American company, because we found out that but you tie their hands when you do everything you're supposed to do. They have to trust you. And that's what we have to always remember. I found out it's easy to do business. Just stay with your word, do what you're supposed to do, and just try to be the best you can be. That's what I say. So definitely, I hope I answered the questions. If there are any questions, just ask me. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Well, good evening. My name is Derek Jones Jr. I currently work for the office of Congresswoman Frederica Wilson. and pressing one button. I'm also as well, so trying to find different ways where I can just generate once. What?
Good evening. My name is Kenyatta Brown. I have a landscaping business called All in One. I'm looking to start a nonprofit organization called CASAL, CALSAL, Change a Life, Save a Life, which will be a mentor program to help the youth and learn them how to play chess.
All right, say it again, what's the name of it?
CASAL, CALSAL, Change a Life, Save a Life.
Change a life, save a life. Okay, that's deep. All right, I see one more I want to bring up, and that's Deacon Calvin Burton, the best tile man in the whole country. I don't know why he's sitting back there. I know he's trying to retire, but I want to bring him up and at least put his business here. Nobody know it and say nothing, so I want him to come up. So while he's making his, you got to tell him who you are. So when you get up there, you do that. Actually, that's Pastor Jones' family.
Good evening. My name is Calvin Burton. I am a tile installer. I've been doing tile for 40 years plus. Started when I was 7 or 8 years old, and I continued through learning of John C. Brown and my father. Going throughout my years, carpentry has been all in the family, so this is what I do. Installations, carpentry, you name it, I do it. Thank you.
All right, what's the name of your company?
Burton Flooring.
Burton Flooring.
Burton Flooring.
All right, thank you. So I want to ask, and I just ask you guys a few questions, and thank you for participating. And I want to come to, what was it, Forrest? All right, is it Minister Forrest? Minister Forrest. I want to come to Minister Forrest. What made you do your own business versus a job or versus traditional mainstream, just trying to get, why did you to go into your own company, go into your own construction company?
Well, my background kind of set me apart because some years ago okay, thank you. Yeah, some years ago, I actually got a record. I went to prison for a few years there. And when I got out, it was very difficult for me to find a job, you know what I'm saying? So it was like I wanted to do something, but I just couldn't. Nobody would let me into the doors, you know? So it was very hard for me. So what happened is it came a point where I needed to feed, family, So what I did was people had an old van, and I saw the van sitting in the yard. And I asked the young lady, I said, would you sell me that van? And she said, yeah, I'll sell it to you. She said, I think she said $125 because it was leaking oil. I said, I'll give $75. Nevertheless, she sold me the van. And when she sold me the van, ideals and things started hitting. So what I did was, I was working at this particular company. I don't want to be long, but I gotta tell you this. I was working at this company, and a friend of mine got me a job. It's called the ACQ, and they used to make the toner for the toner machines. So that was a very messy job every night, just filthy. But nevertheless, when I got that van, before I got the van, I had a manager. We was in the back, and in the back they had about 200 buckets of paint just been sitting for a while. But nevertheless, he was talking to one of his friends, and he was saying, hey man, we got a lot of paint here. They was Caucasian, so they were just having a conversation. I was over there doing something. He said, we got a lot of paint back here. And I said, he was like, if you need some paint to paint your home, hey man, take some of that paint. They weren't talking to me, and I don't even think they was, what you mean? So I said, I said, you know something? I said, I bet you probably didn't even know my name, but I said, you think I can take some of that paint? He looked like like he really didn't want to say yes, but he had been told this guy. So nevertheless, when he said, yeah, go ahead and take what you want. When he said that, I came back and I took about 40 or 55s, you know, because he told me that I think about 20 or 30 of them. Nevertheless, what happened when I got that van, I had an idea of becoming a painter. I said, I can paint. I really couldn't paint, but I know I can do something. So what I did, I was going around the neighborhood, actually charging people $200 to paint their house with the paint. Just going out the street. And you know, I get this person say, yeah, okay, paint. I probably wasn't that good, but nevertheless, I figured like this. It was gonna pay me a couple $100, $275 a week. That's how I was making $275 doing another week. I figured if I can make $200 in a day or two on my own, that sounds a lot more reasonable to me. So nevertheless, it just built, and I just walked neighborhoods. I walked, and people gave me a chance. And I painted the house. I ran out of paint, then I started buying paint. But the thing that most important, it was the best time for me because it made my self-worth go high. You know, really, thank you. It made it go high. And so what happened is, that led to looking at changing out windows. Because you say, hey, you know how to change a door? I didn't know how to change a door. But I knew people knew how to change a door. So I would charge them to change out the door. And I would bring somebody in. I would put them on one of my shirts. I had little shirts made up. I didn't have a color.
I got you.
You want me to finish? Yeah, finish. This is important. So I didn't really have a company at that time, but I was getting people to fix the door, and I would go by, put them on one of my shirts, and we come in because I always want to look present. I want to have. You gotta look before anybody ever trusts you. You gotta look like you're trustworthy. You know what I'm saying? So when I would go, I put them on a shirt, and we'll go there. And one day I had a guy. I got the painter, and I sprayed the van, and I put Masterpiece paint on. Masterpiece guy came over, painted, you know, the guy in the neighborhood just paint. He came and put the words, so it made it look good. And I was in business, but nevertheless, that's what happened. And what it did was, it really made me feel important. Not only because I was working, but because I was doing it on my own. And I didn't have to listen to this guy, I didn't have to listen to that guy. And man, and before I know it, I was doing some of everything. Before I know it, the world opened up when I became a licensed general contractor. It just blew the whole door open then. So I just want to thank you guys and thank the Lord for that. So just want to say that. Thank you.
No, excellent, man, excellent. No, I came to you purposely because I've heard your testimony. And so now I want to go to Mr. Brown and same question. Why entrepreneurship versus just a regular 9 to 5? But answer it in your own way.
Okay, well, I still may have the same situation as my brother who just spoke. And I know working for someone, if I was to make $100 an hour, when I die, I can't give my sons or kids a job. So, and spiritually understanding generational wealth building and understanding those things. So becoming an entrepreneur to me, it's like one of the best things you can ever do. You know, I'm helping others, making money, and also just to teach my kids and, you know, to show those two things. They can be, God created us to be creators. So, you know, not to work for nobody in the sense of, so just creating and generational wealth building.
All right, excellent. All right. Okay. So I guess our youngest on this panel is Derek Jones Jr. So you mentioned crypto and some of the other digital type currencies. So how do you guys at your stage and age right now, how do you guys look at, say, financial diversity? You know, because when we were coming up, it was just the bank and go put your money in the bank and then, you know, or the piggy bank, you know, back then. But now it's totally different. So help us understand how do you guys approach and look at diversifying finance?
So in the age of technology, it kind of diversified itself because you have you have Cash App where I can keep money on. I have Acorns where it can take money out for me weekly, monthly, about $10 here, $100 here. You have your regular bank account you can use. You have people who like to just take money and just keep the money by themselves. And so there's many different ways now where we can get money, and it's always changing, and we follow what's trending. So like in the crypto space, if you really want to like get it, you follow what's trending. And I heard somebody say that you follow what you like as well. Like my brother Cyrus the other day, he said it jokingly. He was like, man, why nobody invested into the light bulb companies? Because you see, nobody got an issue with a light bulb company. And I was like, man, right. And so they're never going to go out of stock. So many of us younger people who find wealth quick, they follow what they like and what's trending, and they follow that pop culture. And so that's how it's diversifying, because it's always changing.
Good. Y'all took notes? Okay.
You're on.
I'm on? Okay, I'm on. So we'll come to Mr. Burton with a question. You said like 40 years you've been doing tile. And because I already know this, but I'm gonna form it in a question for you in terms of what do you find most difficult? You've been entrepreneur, you've had your own business, and I know you try to employ people from the community, but what you find most difficult when it comes to running your own business and working with your own people?
Trying to find someone that's reliable, finding good help, someone that would willing to learn. Now is you look for kids that have a niche for want to learn, like carpentry or a lifelong job that they can depend on, and you can't find that now. So it's kind of hard. That's my biggest niche, is keeping good help. I'll leave it as that. Keeping good help is the hardest thing for me.
Okay. That's it? Okay. All right, no problem. Any questions from our audience? Anybody, any questions? Okay.
I'm thinking in terms of when you talk about cryptocurrency and the different variations of financial banking. I'm hearing the younger people talk in terms of Chime Bank. I don't even know all the different names, but Chime Bank is a bank that it's not a physical bank, as I understand it. It's an electronic bank. What makes this generation, trust that? Because, my generation, we're used to Wells Fargo, right. Bank of America, gotta be able to go in there, We didn't even want to direct deposit our check. And this generation now is a bank that they've never even seen, but yet they trust. So help us understand it.
I don't think we trust it. We don't trust it. We just see it moving, and we see it as it's a way that we can get it now. Because you can put your money in and you can wake up tomorrow and can either skyrocket or can either you just lost it. But it's always, like I said, it's just constantly changing for us. And we like that quick sense of dopamine that it gives you to see, oh, my money's pumping up, pumping up, pumping up. No, it didn't crash. Oh, but wait, it's pumping up again. So it's that constant back and forth that's like keeping us attracted to it. I don't know if that answered it fully, but that's how I was thinking about
it. Yeah. Okay. Anyone else? Okay. There you are.
Okay. What would your
advice be for someone who's conflicted in this way? That making good money on their job, 9 to 5, whatever the case may be, but they've been pulled together, they've been pulled from that to venture out on entrepreneurship. Now, over here, it's consistent, it's a check coming in, you have a family, you have children, things like that, things are expensive, whatever the case may be. Versus, working your business and entrepreneurship, because I know each and every last one of you, it took time. It wasn't so much you had a business, you had LLC, whatever the case may be. Something happened, milestones, difficulties along the way. So what would your advice be for someone who's in a position, who's working 9 to 5, they're not comfortable, but it's something that's consistent to take care of their families versus stepping out and becoming, multiple streams of income?
Okay, anyone can answer.
Because, my advice would be that it's tough when when we started, we didn't have bills, we didn't have a lot of things, so it was more like everything we probably got on my end was for the game, so, but I will say this, that you always can change. Your change might not be the same thing that you might not make the money that you are making now. But if you keep looking towards what you want to build, you can still, if that's what you're trying to build, can pay your bills. You might not have nothing, but you can pay your bills, and that's your love. I would drive to that. The only reason why, because passion is so important. Passion is what drives people's. Everybody you seen, Bill Gates, anybody you saw, all you see is passion. Don't neglect to see the passion that they have. Don't neglect to see LeBron James and the passion, all these guys that you see. It's that passion that you'll get up and work. You might not make what you should make, but you're doing it out of passion. And that's that God-given ability. That's that God that's inside of you right there. That's gonna kick over. And when that kick in, what you like or pay the bills. So stay. If that's your passion, I would encourage you not to just stop a job, but I will be digging into it to make sure that at this moment here, I'm gonna take advantage of it sooner or later. That would be my, idea to you. So thank you.
We have a question. One more question.
Go ahead.
I know you mentioned the transition from painting, taking out windows, but right now you're in real estate and you said you have a mortgage, contracted mortgage. So how did that transition happen?
Well, what happened is my company started, I'm married now, so my wife, me and her together, what we did was we built something. She was into mortgage, she was working for a company. Right? She was working for a company. I was doing the building side of it, right? So what happened is I encouraged her to move from her company and start your own business. So what happened, this has been many years ago, and she was afraid. And I was saying, but one thing you gotta remember, this guy loves you because of what you're doing for him.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And everybody's like that. So but if you don't so what happened is when I was out in the construction part of it, when she moved, I put it, we got a building, put it in and fixed it nice, made it where she could. And the thing is that I wanted her to get into that field of being able to own, opposed to just, because you gotta understand, when I became a contractor, all that was new, and I saw that it was possible. So once I saw that was possible, nothing else mattered to me. I knew that if you give it all you got, it'll come to pass. And so the push that you gotta have, you can't, I'm not telling them, you can't be lazy and you can't be doing that. Like every morning I'm up at 5. Every morning, I don't care what, I'm up at 5, go to sleep at 12, I'm up at 5. Because I gotta get myself prepared for things. But the most important part of it is making sure that if that was her passion. And when she moved into that, it grew leaps and bounds. And so that we both in the same, we're in the same audience of building and financing and that kind of stuff. So that's kind of that's how the companies came about. And so when she named her company, she already had a name for a company, which was a Faith Mortgage. So when I became a general contractor, I named my Faith Construction. Because that was the passion already there, so I didn't change it. I just stayed with it. You know, and these business been on for hers been longer than mine, and mine been 20-some years, over 20-some years, so it's been out a while. So I hope that kind of answered. Okay, thank you.
All right.
Let me say this. My wife's name is Mignon Forrest, and she Faith Mortgage. She runs all the companies. I'm just a worker, so don't think that. She runs everything.
All right. Thank you, man. I see my wife smiling because she thinks she run everything too. Amen. I got you, bro. I got you. All right. Let's thank our panelists and for them coming up and participating. Do we still have action outside? The guys are still there? Okay, great, excellent. So I'm gonna call up Potentate and let him come up and give the remarks. You get one closing now. Well, one closing. And then we go be able to let them, yeah, y'all come on.
Let's give our panelists and our moderator. Thank you, sir. Thank y'all. Again, we are grateful for all of you that have come. And our reason is, and again, I'm just going to say this in closing so that we don't punish you as it relates to coming. And that is that our whole thing is bringing solutions to one table. And we know what the problem is. And we have MIA, a solution that's a part of us. We have Web, which is a solution that's a part of us. And Pastor Stanley just made a powerful, and it's very powerful for us, suggestion. And that is that from among ourselves, from Black Fathers Weekend, every solution we bring in, we're going to begin to develop a book with the names of those businesses. Because our thing is trying to help Black fathers that's not being able to care for their families, giving them solutions as to where they can turn to actually get themselves back on track. And so we are going to, best upon every quarter that we come up, every quarter that we actually have our Black Fathers Weekend, we're going to have a list of solutions, and we're going to keep adding to that book. And that book is loaded with solutions so that we will then be able to point brothers to a place that they can go to actually either find an answer to what they're going through so that they can care for their families. We don't need to talk about the problem. We know what the problem is. Yes, sir, go ahead. Come on. Next. Okay. All right. All right. So we can do that and have to put the website on our, someone keep a minute of this, so that we can put it on our website as it relates to the solutions that we come on a regular basis. In our next meeting, we'll actually keep that in mind, and we'll also begin to facilitate that. And as many of the people that we can bring together as the solutions year in and year out, because this would not necessarily just be the final financial solution move, but what we want to do is just, we're going to constantly bring in solutions. If we don't constantly bring in those solutions, I see Robin sitting over there. Robin got solutions too. Robin, you ain't come on the stage. All right, Robin got some solutions. Stand up and let them see you, Robin. No, stand up, Robin. Robin got some solutions, financial solutions too. So I think that this will not be our only, although each quarter we move to different solutions, because, let me close with this, and that is that we have a panoramic of problems, and there are insets of solutions. It's like, okay, your solutions is plugging one hole in the ship, but the ship's still sinking because there's other holes, right? And if we don't actually come to realize that all these solutions need to come to the same table, because we're on the same sinking ship. And we need to come to the table and say how we can all come together with our solutions. We don't want to take over your program. Even the ones that was here today, you don't have to be in all of our meetings, but we want you to become a part of our solution program so that we can point people to you as you can help them and we can help our people. Or we're gonna die, because if we don't come together, we're gonna die together. Amen. Amen. And so that's what we want to do. You need to come again? All right. Want me to pull it? My name in it?
And this is Mr. Kenyatta Brown.
Is that money? Where y'all get that money from? Praise the Lord. Listen, we're gonna stand and Pastor Stan is our vice. Pastor Stan will be sitting there just chilling. Come on, stand talking close.
All right. Listen, we've had a wonderful evening, and I certainly don't want to belabor the time, but thank you again, as has already been said, to all of the participants. You've really blessed us this evening. So let's look to the Lord for dismissal. Father, we thank you. We give you glory and praise. Thank you again for another successful Black Fathers Weekend. We thank you, God, for the participants. Thank you for the lives that's been touched and the minds that have been changed. We thank you for empowering us financially on today, showing us things about our finances, our spending habits that we may not have understood that has been a detriment to us. So we pray now, God, for not only that we take these principles we've learned and apply them to our life, but God, we thank you in advance for the success of them. We pray now as we prepare to leave this place and go to our own places, we ask that you would provide for us your traveling mercy and your arriving grace. And we'll be careful to give you the glory, the honor, and the praise. In Jesus' name we pray.